Good evening. My name is Kate Mahoney. I'm the Executive Director of the Naomi Ruth Cohen Institute for Mental Health Education at the Chicago School of Professional Psychology. And I'm really delighted tonight to have with me as our guest Nicole Mays. Nicole's a very accomplished woman in many ways, but tonight we're specifically going to talk about her service to our country when she served in the military. November is a month that I think we often think about veterans in November because we have Veterans Day on November 11th. But often when we do that, I'm afraid we don't really think about the many, many women who serve our country and who are living as veterans in the U.S. and sometimes not getting all the acknowledgement and or services that they might need or want and recognition for their incredible service. So Nicole, first of all, I both want to say words that I know sometimes can sound empty, which is thank you for your service. But even more than for your service, for your sacrifice, because I think, again, everyone who serves our country, they give up years of their life in service to our country. They give up time with their family, opportunities in terms of career advancement, are really doing things that are really focused on helping everyone else and sometimes, being overlooked or forgotten.
Absolutely. As for me, I was young when I joined the service, so what I gave up is just the traditional college education. So I was 17 when I joined, so a lot of my friends were going away for college, and I was going away for military training.
Wow. So maybe feeling like in your service to our country, you gave up what a lot of people have, not only in terms of that education at that point in time. I know you actually have gone on to have quite extensive education, but also just some of those social opportunities and that kind of transitioning in a more gentle way, because I would imagine when you enlist, and especially you enlisted and then were pretty quickly, I think, sent to war, you don't get that gentle transition time. You're like, boom, right?
Exactly. I was 17 when I joined. Actually, I joined the military at 17 before I actually graduated from high school.
Wow.
So I joined in March. I graduated in June. I went away for basic training in September. And by the next year, in 1990, I was away at war.
Wow.
Yes. So I transitioned from a child to a soldier very quick.
That's really an incredible story.
And devastating. So a lot of my friends, as I said, my best friend was going away to Tuskegee, and I was going away to Desert Storm.
Wow.
So in many ways, I felt a little bit different because although I did join the military to go to college, thinking that I would just join, go to basic training, go to AIT, and go to college. I didn't anticipate war.
Okay. And AIT is?
Advanced Individual Training.
Okay, great.
I did that in Fort Sam Houston, Texas. I went away to schooling to be a medical lab specialist, which is a trade that I continue to pursue today. I work in a laboratory now. But my education was non-traditional and my life was non-traditional.
Oh, wow.
As a result of Operation Desert Storm. And although, like you said, I did end up with a very accomplished career, it was not the way I anticipated it. And it came with a few bumps.
And so, I think talking a little bit about some of those bumps are helpful, and also people understanding. So you enlisted really to get help with an education, and I think many people are really aware of the military benefits that can help support further education for people. But again, helping people understand that, one, there's you give up a lot, that it's not just free money, right? It's not just a free way to college.
Exactly.
That it's a lot of sacrifice along the way and some bumps, as you say, along the way.
Yes. And when I joined, as with many others, my focus was solely on a college education and maybe a little bit of travel, but it's not as pretty as that sounds.
Right.
And of course, and this is no shame on the recruiters, that's not their focus, is to tell you, do you know you could possibly go to war? And since a child, I did not want to go to war, which is the reason I did not want to join the military. So although I'm a little bit more patriotic now than I was then, I do support and defend things with the military because I want people to understand more about what benefits are available to them. At the time, I was not. So I joined because I knew that the GI Bill was available. I knew that at the time my parents could not afford a college education, and I did not understand at the time how money was available to people who were not as well off. Grants and even some scholarships that I could have possibly qualify for. So I joined the military for that reason.
So it sounds like part of your advice is people should really think through why they are considering enlisting, make sure that they know what their options are, so that if somebody's enlisting to advance their education, they should look at all the different avenues available and figure out, is the military the one that fits best for them or not.
Exactly. And I strongly encourage someone who decides to join the military to understand their purpose, understand the risks, and understand that you're doing it to serve your country primarily. You're a soldier first, you're a parent next, and everything else after that. So, for example, when I joined the military, I wasn't thinking about parenting, but some of my peers had small children. So when we had to go away for war, some ladies were, once their baby was 6 weeks old, they had to leave. So if they were pregnant, once the baby was born after 6 weeks, they had to leave their newborns. So just like work or any other job, you're a soldier, that's your primary position. So there's no way to get around it. If there's a war going on, they don't say, oh, she has a newborn child that she wants to be with until they're 5. Oh, she wants to breastfeed the baby until the baby is 18 months. No, you leave and you go to your duty station, wherever it is, and it could very well be a war destination. So you're treated equal to a man, except for the fact that you are able to bear a child. So you have to understand all of the risks, and there's no way around those risks.
And that also helps me to think about and wanted to emphasize that it is a sacrifice by the whole family. So
Yes.
that we have a lot of children in our country who have parents, moms and dads who have served, and where really the kids are separated from one or both of their parents during that time frame. I think that can interfere with attachment. It can be a huge sacrifice, and often then that means that there are extended family members, grandparents, aunts and
Yes.
uncles, who are also sometimes filling in or being surrogate parents while someone's off serving.
Yes, and in the sad case of the loss of a mom, dad, then the surrogates become the primary caregivers, which that does happen in more cases than not. When the parent is lost, a single mom, a single dad, then a surrogate becomes the person who raises the child. And that's something to always consider as well, because when people join the military, they don't always consider the fact that it's a life commitment as well. So it's just a lot to consider.
Yep.
And like I said, it's a high duty, it's a high position of loyalty, and I commend everyone who serves, and I applaud everyone who serves. It's not something that I'm discouraging people from doing. I just want everyone who makes a decision to join the military to make a conscious decision. And once you've made that conscious decision, try to score as well as you can on the testing so that you can choose the career that you'd like to choose. Don't just choose any career. Choose something that you know that you may potentially want to do if you go to college, because this is what you're going to be doing once you join the military. That's another thing that people don't take time to do, and that's choose a career that they would actually like to do while they're in the military, and then possibly once they're out of the military, because once you come back to your civilian life, you'll be able to utilize those skills for a position once you're discharged from the military. Because remember, there's life after the military as well.
And you chose to specialize in a healthcare field, right?
I did.
Terms of doing laboratory work. And so that's an interesting thing while you're in the military too, right? So you were doing medical work, but also and always being a soldier first.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So what happened with me is I chose a medical laboratory specialist, 92B10, and I did the same thing while I was away at the Persian Gulf. I worked at Riyadh Military Hospital. I worked in the laboratory there. We also had a lab on a truck. This lab went back and forth to Dhahran, which was at the front line. And then when we went to different duty stations around the country, I worked in the laboratory as well. So I work in the laboratory now. I utilize the same skills, which was an advantage, but everyone doesn't take advantage of their military career. I did.
Yep.
When I came back, I went back to school for medical laboratory technician. I also went and got my bachelor's in business and technical management, and now I have my MBA because I went back and got the master's in business.
Right.
But because I worked in the lab and I had such military experience in the lab, like over 25 years now, I've been able to advance in the career,
That's
which
fabulous.
I am appreciative of my military experience because that was my baseline.
Yep.
But everybody is not so blessed to take advantage of it. In that
But
way.
again, I think you're giving good advice to those young people who might be considering enlisting, which is to be thinking in advance about what their long-term goals
There you
are,
go. There you
and
go.
to use the military, their service in the military, as a foundation for their long-term goals, and not like they're two
Exactly.
different things.
Exactly.
Right.
Because a lot of times people don't think of they think, okay, I'm going to join the military, and once I'm out of the military, I'm going to develop
Start
a
my
career.
life.
No, this is your life, and the military can become much more than service. It can become what you do for the rest of your life. So while you're considering this, consider it time and experience. Once you leave your military service and start a career, people look up to you. You become one big advantage is you become a priority in employment. People value a person with military experience, especially for leadership positions, but they want to know what you did in the military, and it can become an advantage to your career. So I do appreciate the military for that. And because of that, if you can add your military experience to your resume, and if it parallels what you do outside of the military, it really puts you at the top. And so I've been able to take advantage of that as well. So I strongly encourage, if you're able to make the right military decisions as far as your MOS, and then even if you are not able to choose a career that's parallel to what you do when you get out, utilize any skill sets because every soldier has leadership skill sets. So utilize those leadership skill sets that we all have on your resume for whatever career you choose as a way to balance and take the advantage of being a military reservist or veteran.
And one of the things I've heard a number of employers talk about is, when you hire a veteran, you're hiring somebody who's not only a great leader, a great team player, someone who is really good at following directions and orders when need be, who can respect the structure or hierarchy of an institution, and those core values in terms of integrity and hard work. So that's great when people are looking to hire people and they recognize that if they hire a vet, there's a lot there that you're getting as sort of value added right away.
Yes, value added, but it's a sacrifice for us because we're not accustomed to people who have less values.
Right.
So for us, like when we work with people, and I kind of have it bad. It's like my expectations are so much more.
Your
it's like
expectations are
my
high.
values are so high, so I have to kind of
Scale it back a little bit.
Scale it back just a little bit because my expectations are just a little bit higher. So, but you're right. So if you get someone from the military, some things are just ingrained in us, and you're definitely going to get a leader, a team player, someone who has integrity and follows through, and someone who's protective of their team. And it's a great experience. So there are some things. The military has its pros and cons, and even what we call cons are just based on what your expectations are. So it's good if you understand what you're doing, you understand why you're doing it. And so I would like to educate people. I would like to be on the end of educating people so they understand the purpose. And even if someone made a mistake by joining or didn't maybe join for the right reasons, there's still an advantage to them being guided and placed in the right direction. Because even for me, I didn't know why I joined,
Yep.
or I didn't join for the right reason. But once I joined and understood, I was able to go into the right direction and take full advantage of the benefits. And I'm still getting some of the benefits now.
That's great.
So-
You know, one of the things you said a little bit earlier, I just wanted to loop back to, which is feeling that since serving, it actually even increased your feeling of patriotism.
Yes, especially now because I've joined several organizations, and I'm just going to mention the National Women Veterans
Please do.
United. You know, I have to mention them. But and it's because it's a women's organization, and I'm a woman, obviously. But women are sort of written out of the military, and I'm going to give you an experience. I went to a military event over the weekend.
Okay.
And there was a young man, he was shaking everyone's hand. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. And he got to me and said, "Did you serve?"
Ah.
And I was like, "Yes, I served." But the other people were men. I was a woman. And I said, well, maybe I should have worn something that had some emblem to say. But that particular day, I didn't have anything on. But he had to ask me. He was young. He didn't understand that women could serve as well.
Right.
And I said, well, yes, I served. He was like, oh, okay, thank you for your service. But that just proves that even at a young age like that, it's just not understood that women serve in the military as well. Women are in war, women are at the front line. So I just really want to speak on behalf of women in service. And I also want to make sure that people understand the benefits that are available. Because some benefits I was not aware of until very recently,
Okay.
within the last few years. And I was made aware of them because of the National Women Veterans United. And since I've become aware of them, and I appreciate this organization because of that, and I want to make sure that other women, veterans as a whole, but especially women, are aware of a lot of things that are available for them. And which is why I say I've become a lot more patriotic, because not only do I want young people to understand about the military service and careers, I want people who have been discharged from the military to understand what services are available for them as well.
And that's part of your work. You do a lot of volunteer work connected
Yes.
to the National Women's Veterans Organization.
Yeah, I would like to do more. This year has been a little bit slower for me, but definitely next year I will pick back up. This has been sort of a trying year for me, but the National Women Veterans United has resources that were able to assist me. And this, like I said, in this tough year. And I just applaud them. I applaud the other organizations. I can't not mention the other ones. Which have been very useful. There are many, and everyone knows about them. But I just want to make sure that I do mention the National Women Veterans United, which is a reason that I'm actually here and that
Right.
I've met you, is because of them. So I'm happy now that I can be of service and I can provide information to others as a result of the veteran service organizations. So I'm excited. American Legion Post. So a lot of the people who I went to war with and the people who I was involved with in the military are members at the American Legion Post. And then the Veteran Foreign Wars, I'm a member of them. And the National Association for Black Veterans, I'm a member of them as well.
And so, because that's the other opportunity, right, is once someone has served, you can really develop both lifelong friendships, either with people you knew when you were serving, or subsequently, because it seems to me there's an incredible special bond of people who've served, who've had this shared experience, regardless of which war they were in, regardless of where they served. And there is that opportunity for that connection and support, which is so important, I think, again, given the sacrifices and the challenges.
Yeah. And that's right. And you never know, as a result of military experience, what your condition or situation or your circumstance may be. So support is the primary thing that we all may need at one point or another, in or outside of the military. Your families, friends. So if there is nothing else available to you as a veteran or a military personnel, you'll need support and services. So I do appreciate the veteran service organizations for that.
And again, I think sometimes we don't recognize the vital roles. We might see them in Memorial Day or 4th of July parade. We don't really realize how these organizations play such vital roles in our community, both bringing people together, connecting people to services and support, but also, I think, being a local representation of the military. So those of us who might want to know more, to understand both what's happened in the past and or as young people might be considering enlisting in the future, they could go find people to talk to ask some of these questions, so that in addition to talking to a recruiter whose job really is to get you to sign up, but people could come and they could connect through some of these organizations.
Absolutely.
And really ask some of those questions. And I think you were really wise as you were telling people to, to really consider what your own values are, what your goals are. Does this fit? And does it fit as part of your life plan?
Exactly. And if you've done that, and because the risks, so when I was younger, I was just afraid of war because I would see wars on TV and I just thought, oh my God, this is so scary. But the risks of just like dying in a war are not that great. It's like, they're not that great. So the fear that I had was sort of unwarranted. So that wouldn't be my first consideration.
Okay.
Oh, I'm afraid I might die in war. No. So if I had the chance to do it all over again, knowing what I know now, I may do it. If I knew what I knew now.
Right.
Because I'm much more aware. So my advice is just to make yourself aware. And war is not the primary fear. It's just understanding what's available to you, because the things that my mother told me about when she said I should join do exist, and they're good considerations.
Right.
Education and travel and things like that. However, if it doesn't fit into your overall plans or goals for your life, then the military just may not be a good choice. Or if you're not patriotic, if you're not a good team person, definitely if you don't take orders. So no sense in joining and ending up court-martialed because you just weren't the right fit.
Great advice, because I've known a number of parents who have basically said, they want their son or daughter to go to the military to learn discipline. And if you have a son or daughter who really struggles with that, chances are that struggle is going to increase.
That's true. You can't give somebody something that they don't have. The military can't make you discipline or make you, if it's kind of not in you, like it can't force it on you now. And they'll end up in the worst position. They may. I shouldn't say. It may work for some, but not for all.
One other thing when you were talking that I wanted to highlight, just from having gotten to know a number of veterans now, is that in addition to actually the struggles of combat, which is maybe what people think about, there's so many other ways though that people again can have struggles and make sacrifices. So it's not just being in the front lines. It's not. There's lots of ways. Again, even just this distance from your family and support network. Although some people are good at then developing a new support network, that can be challenging. So helping people think that through, and yet, if it sounds like if you had it to do over again, that you may well do so.
Yeah. Well, there are some other things to consider. Some very intimate things that can happen, especially with the percentage of women to men. And these things can happen outside of the military, but with military experience, some women have suffered from military sexual trauma, that like events that have occurred in military experience, rape, sexual assault. Men as well. Some men have suffered from rape and sexual assault, but it's just a little bit more common with women. I myself was a victim of a form of sexual assault. And I don't say that this is something to be fearful of the military for, but I just want people to be aware that these things do happen, and that just again to be aware of yourself, aware of your surroundings, and to keep yourself safe, and make sure that whatever decisions that you make a conscious decision, and that you don't think that because you join the military, you're coming into a safe place. Some people join the military or make decisions because they think they're getting away from one situation, but don't run from one situation into another situation that may be even worse. So consider all factors, and just make sure you're making the correct decision. And I just think that if all that's done, then you may be better off. But people come from the military experience, depending on the type of trauma that they experience. It could be a lot of different things. People have anxiety, post-traumatic stress, then wounds that you just can't see. Everybody doesn't get shot or have grenade experience. Some people have internal diseases and wounds.
And as we wrap up, I do want to say, since I'm from the Naomi Ruth Cohen Institute for Mental Health Education, there's great support. So if people do experience a variety of traumas, there are wonderful support services. There are certainly some services through the VA, but there's a lot of services out in the community. And although people are trained as soldiers to be tough, they don't need to tough it on their own. And
That's right.
It shows great courage to reach out. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And thank you to our audience for being such a great audience and connecting with us on the important issues we cover. And I want to say thank you.
Thank you.